I'm not hearing you somehow on the stream. Make sure it's me, not me. I see you. I see you. I see everything, but I can't hear you. And I can hear me. I can't hear you.
You know what super helps is if I unmute my microphone uh, on the OBS. Um, hmm, yeah, uh,
Oh, there you are.
I'm yeah, very clever am I. I was just the only thing that people have missed is good morning, and also I've made a slight change to the way this works, so that you do have to be a subscriber to comment now. Um, so I hope you don't mind. Um, and it'll take about 5 minutes for you to be able to comment once you become a subscriber. Ish. Who knows?
Alessandra is on, and she can hear us. Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. Great then. Um,
So on page
Let us carry
250,
on with our
you find where the punch
continuing.
is. After exploit. Okay.
Okay.
So we're starting with is that a known thing, which I think is shall, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
Pretty slick. She shook her head. It's pretty kludgy, but it worked to get me out of boarding school, so I'm happy it's still a useful exploit.
Is that a known thing? I've been thinking we were looking for a service person because. He stopped, still looking at the door. Hang on. Why could I get through the service door from the hall? It just opened the first time. When we went with Albary, they had to use their fob to open it. A timed relocking? Disabled? Maybe. A tray clattered to the ground, plates shattering in a cacophony that silenced the rest of the room. To their right, Emmanuel stood, eyes wide and staring at Shal. He backed 2 steps away from them, shaking his head, then turned and bolted down the hall. Shal pushed away from the wall, springing after him before Tesla could move. The courtesy mask ear straps tangled around her foot as she tried to follow, and she had to pause to rip it free from her cane. Around her, service people, all wearing blue trousers, were staring down the hall or at the food that was scattered across the floor. "Excuse me!" Tesla pushed her way past someone, using her cane to navigate over a blood bright.
Using her cane, 1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, the one part I got to re-engage. 1 second.
Sure thing. I take it they couldn't hear the punch.
No, they could hear the punch. I just my little script that helps me make things move things up so they can hear the punch will be wasn't engaged yet. Let me check out one thing on the punch.
Well, the weather here this weekend was
Great.
so lovely. Spring has hit my part of the world.
Oh, lucky.
It's really nice. The cats are very disgruntled this morning because I have to have the windows shut for sound. And they're like, "But there's a breeze." And
All right, let's
Elsie
pick it up.
invented a new word this weekend. I'll tell you about it our next pause.
Okay. Pushed away past someone using her cane. Here we go.
Pushed her way past someone.
Using her cane to navigate over a blood-bright streak of borscht. Down the hall, Emmanuel was nearly behind the curve of the ship. Shal was chasing, but with one arm hugging his ribs. He ran in fits and starts, bracing himself with his other hand on the wall of the corridor. Behind Tesla, someone yelped.
Behind. Here we go.
Wall of the corridor.
Behind Tesla, someone yelped, "Watch it!" A moment later, Piper dashed.
Okay, a moment later. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's not Piper that says that.
Okay, great. After watch it, here we go.
Watch it!
A moment later, Piper dashed past, leaning into a run with hands knifing through the air. She dodged past Shal, who staggered to a stop. With the curve of the ship, it looked as if Piper ran uphill without slowing and tackled Emmanuel. The two went down in a tangle, rolling across the floor. Piper rolled on top of Emmanuel, pinning him. She pulled Emmanuel's wrists behind him and slapped cuffs.
And slapped. Here we go.
Wrists behind him.
And slapped cuffs around them. What the hell were you thinking? The young server lay on the floor, not fighting, and his sobs echoed down the corridor. Piper got off of him and propped him into a sitting position. It looked like she was moving a sack of potatoes for all the response Emmanuel gave. Where did you think you were going to run? She stayed crouching and scowled at him. Huh? I'm wanting to be sympathetic here, but you're making it hard. I told her I couldn't.
I told her. Here we go.
Making it hard.
I told her I couldn't talk to her. Emmanuel gestured to Shal and Tesla with his chin. His voice broke and he stared at the floor again, tears rolling down his cheeks. I didn't know you were. Please help me. Piper spared a glare for Tesla. So you tell your shift supervisor when you have a problem customer and you let them handle it.
So you tell. Here we go.
A glare for Tesla.
So you tell your shift supervisor that you have a problem customer and let them handle it. You don't run. You've got to know better than that. Emmanuel's face folded, crumpling around more tears. I was scared. Of what? Piper fished in her pocket and pulled out a packet of tissues. She leaned forward and wiped his cheeks. Come on. I can't help you if you don't talk to me. We just want to... Tesla stopped as Piper turned a glare on her worthy of Fantine. What part of go to your cabin and don't investigate was unclear? Lousy connection. Shal sauntered closer. But since we're here, mind if I... Yes, actually. Piper turned her attention back to Emmanuel, ignoring Shal and Tesla as they inched closer. But she didn't tell them to leave. All right. Tell me about the night that George Saikawa was murdered. With a gasp, Emmanuel's head came up. No, I didn't have anything to do with the murder. Running doesn't look good. Piper reached for her comm badge and paused. You want to tell me how things went down before Weiser gets here? I can explain things to him. Emmanuel nodded, eyes huge. I don't know what to tell you. It was a pretty normal shift. You weren't scheduled. Emmanuel's head came up. I always work the Abba. I did. Before. Brows coming together, Piper pursed her lips. All right. I'll check that later. So, you turn up for your normal shift. Yes. And everything was normal until Saikawa got out of the booth. For a moment, his eyes cut to Shal, and then he stared back down at his knees again. Swallowing, Emmanuel grimaced. I'd been trying to avoid that table all night because I was so... Angry? Piper's voice had gentled. Disgusted? I was afraid I would do or say something and lose my job. Emmanuel laughed bitterly. That would have been ironic, given that I had to take this god-awful job because of what those bastards did to my Sorry. Hey, I was a server, too, once upon a time. It is a god-awful job. So you dumped a tray of drinks on her. Emmanuel bit his lip.
Let me check out 3 things.
Okay.
Listen to problem customer and see if it's okay for you.
So you tell your shift supervisor that you have a problem customer and let them handle it.
I think so.
Okay. So then... listen. Yeah. Let me see if I can get rid of it. Oh, it seems like it comes right before. Oops. All right, that works. And then this is more just of a question. You in the acting of it, you cut off the word grandpa, which is fine by me if it's okay with you. You didn't finish it, which is okay. But
I mean, there is a. It's not grandpa, it's grandparent.
oh, I see. Gotcha. I was looking at the text and didn't understand that part, so let me listen.
Yeah.
So it sounds cut off, which is correct. So there we go.
Correct.
After you dump the tray of drinks, here we go.
Tray of drinks on her.
Emmanuel bit his lip, glancing from Piper to Shal. Tears and snot streaked his face as his breathing went hiccupy and panicked. Piper grabbed his ankles and spun him so his back was to Shal and Tesla. Shal, back down the hall, but stay where I can see you. Tesla said, You can't still. Shal grabbed her hand, sending, Quiet. At the same time that Piper said, Back down the hall. She can't still think that you had anything to do with the murders. Tesla followed him, limping backward.
Tesla followed. Here we go.
With the murders?
Tesla followed him, limping backward. I would, if I were her. He stopped at a nod from Piper, still within earshot of the conversation. But even if she doesn't, Emmanuel is terrified of us, and that's complicating things. All right. Piper settled on her heels and rested her arms.
Let's take it from Emmanuel's terrified of us. There's a little dropout sound.
Okay.
And just continue from there, please.
Okay.
Here we go.
Even if she doesn't.
Emmanuel is terrified of us, and that's complicating things. All right. Piper settled on her heels and rested her arms on her knees in a position that Tesla would never be able to attempt now. Did someone hurt you? Or threaten you? Emmanuel shook his head. His hands, cuffed behind his back, clenched and unclenched. I took a dip, and I was afraid that... His shoulders shook as he bowed his head. In front of him, Piper waited until Emmanuel's breathing slowed and steadied. It was huge, and I was afraid that Chief Weiser would think I'd been paid to do more than I had. What did you do? Sorry, that's the wrong voice for her, and I...
Yep. And you...
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What did you do? Here we go. Hi, Paul.
Do more than I had.
What did you do? Emmanuel's mumbled answer vanished in the hum of the ship fans and the distant rattle of the kitchen. Okay. Piper nodded. Can you describe the passenger who gave you the spoofer? He was wearing. Okay. Just needed to find the right article.
View the spoofer.
He was wearing a courtesy mask. Dark, curly hair, about 180 centimeters. Nice shoulders. Was it the passenger behind you? Shal tightened his grip on Tesla's hand before she'd realized that she had opened her mouth. Let her do her job. But you didn't. Interfering will make me look guilty. His thumb ran down the side of her hand. Just wait it out. Emmanuel sniffled. I thought it was. But you don't now. He seemed taller. Piper pulled her handheld out of her pocket and unrolled the device, snapping it into an open and locked position. The flat rectangle.
Flat, here we go.
Locked position.
The flat rectangle glowed as her fingers. I'm really glad that I've clarified that the rectangle is flat.
I mean, it could be a three-dimensional rectangle.
But then it's not a rectangle, is it?
I mean, fair. All right. Do you want to do something with that?
I'm not going to change it. No, I'm just...
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Locked position.
The flat rectangle glowed as her fingers danced above it, entering hand gesture commands. She turned the screen to Emmanuel. Is he on the screen? Over. And I guess it could be an undulating rectangle. You know.
Yeah.
It could be an undulating. Uneven. Like a, bumpy.
So lots of possibility.
Yeah.
All right, after is he on this screen, please?
Is he on the screen?
Over his shoulder, the screen glowed with images of passengers and crew who bore a passing resemblance to Shao. All of them had ancestry.
All of them. Here we go.
Resemblance to Shao.
All of them had ancestry that might have begun in the Middle East on Earth or under the sun lamps of Estacion de Ganymedes.
Or under the sun lamps.
Yes.
There we go.
Middle East on Earth.
Or under the sun lamps of Estacion de Ganymedes. Shao's picture had his half-smile smoldering directly at the camera. I'm maybe the third from the top right.
Maybe the third. There you go.
I'm
maybe the third from the right. Top row. That was not Shao, and Tesla sagged against him. He kissed her temple. Don't get too excited. They'll pull me in for a real lineup when we dock, and by that point, he'll have seen me enough that... Or the second from the left on the bottom.
Or the second. Here we go.
Seen me enough that...
Sorry, one more time.
Here we go.
Seen me enough that...
Or the second from the left on the bottom. That was Shao. That was definitely Shao. Piper turned the handy back to scroll through some additional screens. We can look at the tip. It was cash. Emmanuel hung his head, hands in tight fists. I see. Piper glanced up at Shao as if, despite herself, she wanted to know what he thought. Tesla tried not to feel left out of the silent conversation that they had. She saw Shao...
Check one thing. Okay.
I'm having a slight sadness. I rearranged my booth to get to a thing this weekend, and now I cannot reach my scissors. Alas, well... I will just suffer.
How difficult is it for you to get to your scissors?
I think I have to stand up. Because I think I took them. I think I took them out of the room.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's take it from after they had. So starting with she saw Shao.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation that they had.
She saw Shao mouth something, but he was turned too much toward Piper for her to be able to tell what it was. Whatever he'd said made Piper grimace. Piper turned back to Emmanuel. Who was working Saikawa's table if you weren't? No one. He hunched more miserably into the wall. She was in my section. I just didn't go near her. Did you see anyone who did? Was she there with anyone? He nodded. I mean, she didn't arrive with anyone, but Niall, the magician, he stopped by Saikawa's table, and then another time I went past, there was another passenger, and they were arguing. Tesla wanted to cheer. She'd been right. What did they look like? White passenger, early 40s, bald, carried weight in the belly. He shrugged, which could not have been easy with his arms pinned behind him. I think they had on a sequined shirt and a capelet that night. I told her, that's Ori Slutemaker's. Tesla took a step forward. Piper saw her and raised her eyebrows, while somehow also conveying that Tesla needed to stop where she was. At the same time, Shal pinged, Don't. We have to tell her. Sweating, Tesla pulled her hand free from Shal's and concentrated on Piper. Can I talk to you for a moment? Sighing, Piper got to her feet. If I don't, I'm sure your lawyer will find something to sue me for. She glared at Shal. Back up! He held up his hands and backed farther down the hall. Tesla met Piper a few steps away from Emmanuel and lowered her voice. He's describing Ori Slutemaker's. I hate to break it to you, but there are a lot of bald white passengers on this ship. And apparently a lot of hot Persian mask passengers, too. Sure, right, I get that. Emmanuel said the passenger told him that it was their honeymoon, asked Emmanuel to help protect their spouse from photographers. Come on, do you really think that if Shal had nefarious plans, he would have given details that to make it?
Come on, let me double check one thing. Thought I heard a thump. I did. But he was turned too much towards Piper. I just need that phrase. Previous page. But he was turned too much toward Piper for her to be able to tell what it was. Yep. There we go.
Okay.
Just that phrase. There we go.
Conversation. I'll mouth something.
But he was turned too much toward Piper for her to be able to tell what it was.
Thank you. Paul wants to know why Slutmakers. I'm editing.
Yeah, it was originally a different last name. And I remember that I had to change it because it caused weird problems with something else, and I can't remember what it was. At one point, I accidentally had multiple metal names, like Piper was originally Nickel, Maria Nickel, and with Niall Silver. And so I don't remember what was going on with Slutmakers, but I needed to change it. And I think the original one had also been Dutch. So I went looking for something that was... There's no specific reason. It was basically just I liked the look of the name.
Can we get... sorry. Go ahead.
Sometimes that's all there is. Like, why badgers? I like badgers.
Right. Can we get Shal saying don't? There was just a noise underneath it.
Okay.
Shal pinged.
Don't.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then picking it up. After photographers.
Okay.
So, come on.
Photographers.
Come on. Do you really think that if Shal had nefarious plans, he would have given details to make it easier to identify him? She grabbed hold of the rising whine in her voice and buried it under a corporate boardroom calm. His description of...
I got that. Here we go. His
Great.
description.
Boardroom calm.
Oh, yep. Oh, sorry for just a second. That's weird.
Uh-huh. What's that?
Oh, normally when we're doing this and you're sharing screen, what I get in my upper right corner for myself, it's working right on the for the feed, but normally I get to see where you're editing as well, and I don't this time for unknown reasons. It's just your initials. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay. After boardroom calm, here we go.
Okay.
Boardroom calm.
His description of...
Boardroom calm.
His description of events matches mine, and Dory Slootmaker's is the one that went to the bathroom right before Ruth Fish died. The bathroom that Annie Smith reported as being out of order. Rubbing her forehead, Piper chewed on her lower lip. She glanced over Tesla's shoulder to look at Shal, eyes narrowing in thought. All right. All right. I'll set up a digital lineup of passengers and crew that match those descriptions, and I'll include him. We'll get a manual to look at them. Will that make you happy? Thank you. Piper sigh.
We get a little click, and then we'll pick it up with Piper's sigh. Digital lineup. There it is. Great. After thank you, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Piper's sigh said that she would rather not be thanked and would honestly prefer it if everyone on the ship would lock themselves in their cabins for the duration, but especially Tesla and Shal. She opened a screen and started dragging faces around. Piper paused and looked back at Tesla. What did you say his name was again? Ori Slootmaker's, he, him? You're sure? Piper took a half-step... Shal took a half-step closer.
Shal, here we go. Oops, here we go.
You're sure?
Shal took a half-step closer and stopped himself, balancing forward on his toes. What do you have? It's what I don't have. Her fingers flicked.
1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Okay.
Okay.
Her fingers, here we go.
Okay.
What I don't have.
Her fingers flicked through pages in agitation. There's no one on the passenger list named any variant of Ori Slootmaker's. Not on crew, either. Maybe he's using a cover like I did? And Jalna and Annie. Smith isn't their last name, either. Tesla wet her lips. It couldn't be that big of a deal that his name wasn't in there. Can you do a visual? Already am. She held out the handheld. It's fine. She held out the handheld is fine.
She offered.
Offered, thank you.
Yes.
It just bothers me. I let a couple of other echoes go, but... okay.
There we go.
Already am.
She offered the handheld and beckoned Tesla closer. Flip through these and tell me if you spot your person. As Piper said, there was no shortage of bald white people on the passenger and crew list. But after going through all the pages of bald white people, Tesla shook her head. I don't see him. Shal? He looked to Piper for permission before joining them. He flipped through the same pages, scowl deepening as he went. No. I didn't make him up. The edges of a panic attack made her skin feel too tight. Ori wasn't on the list of the group.
Ori, here we go.
Didn't feel too tight.
Or he wasn't on the list of the group yoga class. Other people have seen him. I didn't say you had. But the flatness of Piper's tone said that she'd clearly thought it. Tesla gnawed on the inside of her cheek. She wanted to call.
She wanted. Here we go.
The inside of her cheek.
She wanted to call Fantine, but the comm lag was 12 minutes by now, so she sent a ping asking her to look for an Ori Slutemakers. Meanwhile, there had to be other ways to find him. Officer Piper? What about footage from the yoga studio? I know some times when he was definitely there. Worth a try? When? Last night? 10-ish? She paused, considering. Also, there's Ewan, his child. Maybe you can spot them. 16, also white, shaved head, violet eyes. Got it. Piper flipped.
Piper flipped.
Got it.
Piper flipped to a secure page on her handheld, frowning at the device as she worked. While they waited, Tesla had plenty of time to become...
Tesla had plenty.
While they waited,
Tesla had plenty of time to become aware of the servers standing at the far curve of the hall, gawking up at them. She didn't have her mask on and wasn't even sure where it was. Tesla turned so her back was to them, taking refuge in the captain's hat. It put her facing Emmanuel, who had sunk into himself again. God damn it! Piper swiped furiously at her handheld. There too? What? Shao leaned over her shoulder to look at the handheld. Oh. Everywhere? Yep. Tesla raised her hand. Everywhere what? Piper lowered the handheld to glare at Tesla. Everywhere you tell me he's been, there's been an active high-grade spoofer. I can't find a single image of this guy or the kid. Blackthorn. 2 ounces Irish whiskey, 1 ounce sweet vermouth, 2 teaspoons absinthe, 2 dashes Angostura bitters, lemon peel. Stir ingredients over ice for 40 seconds. Strain into martini glass and garnish with lemon peel. Tesla shifted, trying to ease.
Tesla shifted. Yeah.
with lemon peel.
Tesla shifted, trying to ease the high, thin whine of discomfort from her back. It was like a tinnitus of the spine. Tinnitus.
It was like, here we go.
Comfort from her back.
It was like a tinnitus of the spine. Very present and annoying unless she kept the dBps dialed up past its safety margins. Piper tapped a finger on the edge of the handheld, face creased in thought. Right. She minimized the search and brought a different one to the front. This one had dozens of people with black pageboy. Oops, pageboy is not correct. Come on. Please let me do my job and edit this. Originally, I had Pageboy, but my sensitivity reader for gender roles pointed out that that was a gendered haircut, and it was unlikely that they would still use that as a descriptor in the future, in this particular future. I was like, oh, aren't you clever? I'm so glad that I'm paying you. But I thought I had caught them all and switched them to bowl cuts.
Bowl cuts. All right. This one had
different one to the front.
This one had dozens of people with black bowl cuts and builds similar to the one that Shal had chased. She spun around and walked over to Emmanuel. "Do you recognize any of these people?" Emmanuel sniffed and leaned closer to the handheld. Lower lip between her teeth, Tesla waited, half certain that Emmanuel was a bit.
Half certain. Here we go.
Tesla waited.
Half certain that Emmanuel was about to point to Majabine. The yoga instructor had matched Shal's description and would have had reason to make a run for the yoga class. Ori had to have registered for her class and yet wasn't on the list, so she had to be involved in some way. I mean, I know Yuki, but that's not surprising, is it? Piper pulled the handheld back. Was he there that night? Sure. He shifted on the floor. But that's not unusual. He helps Niall Silva with his magic stuff. Shal leaned toward Piper and whispered in her ear. Her face stayed blank, but she gave a small nod before turning back to Emmanuel. Which end of the bar was he at? The far end, by the prep station. I kept having to ask him to move when I came to pick up orders. The prep station had been right next to the service door, so it would have been very easy for him to slip out and walk down the corridor to the yacht club. And he was there all night? Emmanuel looked at the ceiling, squinting as if he were drawing the bar in his mind. Yes, well, I mean, until the Delta Gamma went out. He would have gone to the doors to make sure they were secured. And you saw him there? I'm sorry, and her voice just shifted a little.
Okay. We need to go back and get one thing. You said yoga class. I think it's yoga studio.
Okay.
It's on the previous page, I think.
Got it.
Okay. Let me find it.
Second to last. Oh, you're on your recording thing.
Audio part, yeah.
Yeah.
And would have had reason to make a run for the yoga studio.
Okay.
Here we go.
Shal's description.
And would have had a reason to make a run for the yoga studio.
Thank you. Okay. And you saw him there. There we go.
Okay, hang on for a sec. I'm going to make a change. An upcoming change.
Alessandra was wondering whether... What? Go ahead.
Oh, and there's a place where... where Shal is sitting with each other with George, and I think actually he would say Saikawa in this context.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Alessandra was wondering why Emmanuel was puking. The stress of seeing George was the question.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. All right. Let me know when you're ready. We'll start after right after secured.
Mm-hmm.
Sure they were secure.
Sorry, you ready?
Okay.
Sure they were secured.
And you saw him there? He shook his head. I was in a corner puking. Shal slid his hands into his pockets and shrugged his way into a question. Oh, there's a thing I'm curious about. You said that the bald man and Silver were arguing. With each other or with Saikawa? Shal. Piper sliced her hand in front of him. then sighed and faced Emmanuel again. "All right. How much of the argument did you hear?" At this, he hesitated, mouth pursed in thought. "I don't know. Something about Niles Shaw, maybe? I was only catching snippets as I went past." Piper studied the young server, one finger tapping on the edge of her handheld as her only sign of unrest. Blowing out a sigh, she turned back to Shal and Tesla, shooing them.
Blowing out a sigh. Here we go.
Sign of unrest.
Blowing out a sigh, she turned to Shal and Tesla, shooing them back down the hall. "Right. I need to confine him. Seems sensible. Then I'm going to the theater to talk to Niall and Yuki. I'm going to ask you not to go to the theater without me." She put her hands on her hips, and with a glower that could have served as the fuel source for a Pluto-bound rocket... Oh, sorry, there's no and, just with a...
And with a glower. Just randomly came up in my head. What's our situation with the French templates?
Awaiting them. Have requested, but do not have.
Okay. And with a on her hips. Oh, with a glower. Here we go.
Her hands on her hips.
With a glower that could...
Same punch.
Her hands on her hips.
With a glower that could have served as the fuel source for a Pluto-bound rocket. "What I want is for you to go back to your cabin. You cannot pretend that the signal is poor. I'm right here in front of you. Go to your cabin." If they did, Piper would go to the theater without them, and she wouldn't share anything she learned without having her hand forced. Tesla hadn't even gotten to see the show because the pyro... Sparks fill the void. Tesla's ears are ringing. The visor of the PAMU she's testing flashes as the laboratory and space spin past in nauseating succession. The suit should auto-stabilize, and it's not, and she's having trouble thinking, and something is crushing her spine, so all she can catch are short, gasping breaths that get cut off with red-hot stabbing pain. "Tesla, you're safe." Shal was crouching in front of her, hands out but not touching her. "You're on the Lindgren. We're in a hallway, and we're on the way to Mars. You're safe." She was bending over, hands on her knees, and her cane was on the floor, and the thrumming of her pulse in her ears sounded like the whoosh of recycled oxygen in a spaceship. Her heart was going too fast, and there wasn't enough air in the corridor, and she needed her cane, and she needed to get away from here. No, wait. She knew what this was. Her next breath in was ragged but slow, and she held it. "I'm safe." The bruise around Shal's eye, Emmanuel's blue trousers, the hand held in Piper's right hand, a scuff on the floor shaped like a dragon. She let her breath out. "I'm all right." Her voice shook. She inhaled slowly again. The hum of life support, clatter of dishes, a service-drone wine.
It's got a handful of quick things. That one works out fine, actually. If they did, Piper would go to theater without them through forced. There was a dropout. I just need the front of that, but it's kind of all run together. So it's second paragraph from the top. If they did through forced.
Okay.
"Go to your cabin."
If they did, Piper would go to the theater without them, and she wouldn't share anything she learned without having her hand forced.
Thank you. So then, back further recycled. I just want to listen to.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So the whoosh of recycled oxygen in a space suit. You said spaceship.
Okay. Whatever.
And
Okay.
the thrumming. Just a space thing, you know.
Spacesuit
Space
is a
doohickey.
spaceship.
In this case, that's true, right?
Actually, anything for an EVA is.
Almost. Yeah.
No, that's actually literally true. Anything that's you do in an EVA is considered a person-shaped spaceship.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that because it has propulsion? As opposed
No,
to a
it's because
spacesuit that doesn't?
it's because it can sustain you against the vacuums of space.
Huh.
Or, I mean, it's got a whole bunch of life support stuff that, like the spacesuit that they wear when they are launching, isn't self-contained for life support. It will protect you against vacuum, but everything else, heat, cold, radiation, all of that, it's dependent on the ship around you.
Gotcha. All right, so after her cane was on the floor,
Okay.
so end the
I know,
thrumming
it's fast,
through
so I'm gonna
space
have to
suit.
go. Yep.
Here we go.
Cane was on the floor.
And the thrumming of her pulse in her ears sounded like the whoosh of la ba ba.
Cane was on the floor.
And the thrumming of her pulse in her ears sounded like the whoosh of recycled oxygen in a spacesuit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then get away. I just need to listen to that. Just listen to get away from here. I think we can do, and she needed to get away from here, but take a listen.
Okay.
Fast, and there wasn't enough air in the corridor, and she needed her cane, and she needed to get away from here.
Yeah, it's a little muddy even for the moment.
For the panic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could take it from, and she needed her cane, and she needed to get away from here.
Okay. Great.
Here we go.
Enough air in the corridor.
And she needed her cane, and she needed to get away from here.
Perfect. Thank you. Listening. Great. Thank you. After clatter of dishes. Here we go.
Okay.
Clatter of dishes.
A service-drone whine. Footsteps in the distance. Exhale. Shal shook his head. I'm going to be bossy now, and we're going back to the cabin. Tesla straightened and could feel the sweat beading on the backs of her knees and the prickling in her armpits. Can you hand me my cane? Shal scooped the cane off the floor and gave it to her. When she took it, he rested his hand on hers. And I made 2 deliberate changes there, which I have marked in the text.
Okay.
Gave it and removing the extraneous the.
The, yeah. Mm-hmm. He rested. Here we go.
When she took it.
He rested his hand on hers. Come on. Let's go lie down and watch the Great Mars Baking Show. Gimlet is still missing. She pulled her hand away and wiped her palm on the leg of her trousers. From behind Shal, Piper was watching her, hand half raised to her comm badge. Slowly, she lowered it. I'm going to side with Mr. Cockypants here. Tesla's hands were shaking still. She swallowed the cotton that seemed to fill her mouth. There's a murderer on the loose? Excuse me.
Pork.
It's totally Helix. It was definitely not me.
All right, there's a murderer. Here we go.
Seemed to fill her mouth.
There's a murderer on the loose? I'm an adult and can set my own goddamn breath. Blah.
Same punch, please. Here we go.
Seemed to fill her mouth.
There's a murderer on the loose? I'm an adult and can set my own goddamn boundaries. Wetting his lips, Shao glanced at Piper and then back at Tesla. She's got to take Emmanuel in. Maria can check in with us after she does, and we'll see how you're feeling then. That was a reasonable suggestion, and she wanted to push back anyway. She was not okay and would be feeling this for hours. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold. She'd put too many hours into therapy to not recognize that what he was saying was true and sensible. And she also hated being treated like she was fragile. Why don't you and I find a place to review my picks from earlier? A place like our cabin? If you get me back there, you'll pull every trick in the book to get me to stay. He winked and even.
Got to get right at the beginning. Wetting his lips, Shao glanced at Piper and then back to Tesla. I think he said back at Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah, just that phrase. Wetting his lips through Tesla.
Okay.
Here we go.
Damn boundaries.
Wetting his lips, Shao glanced at Piper and then back to Tesla.
Great. Thank you. And even with the black eye. Here we go.
To get me to stay.
He winked, and even with the black eye, it was devastatingly attractive. I mean, it is our honeymoon. I wouldn't mind a trick or two. Thank you for demonstrating my point. Tesla busied herself with brushing imaginary lint off her shirt. Officer Piper, do you have a suggestion that isn't our cabin? Quiet and with no flashing lights, if possible? You can call me Maria, you know. Come on, Emmanuel. Time for us to go. Maria Piper walked back to Emmanuel and slipped her hand under the server's arm. The Irish pub should be quiet in the afternoon. If you don't mind servers with truly terrible fake accents and
If you don't mind, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet in the afternoon.
If you don't mind servers with truly terrible fake accents and an abundance of green. As promised, the Irish pub, O'Shenanigans, had an overabundance of green. From the cushions, to the menus, to the random green bowlers the servers wore cocked back on their heads. Everything else looked like dark wood or brass that had been here for 300 years and was a testament to the matter printers they'd used to fabricate it. Tesla slid into a booth, which was the least offensive of the available. Okay, and I'm just going to let you know, as we come into this, that nothing that I say will be incorrect.
Okay.
When I start doing and you hopefully will not actually be able to understand me.
Gotcha.
Oh, just wait. Just wait.
So what you're saying is the accent is going to be super, super thick, and I should not stop.
Correct.
Okay. All right. After Tessa slid into a booth. After booth. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. Slid into a booth,
which was the least offensive of the available seating options. A server with a green vest and a bowler cap tipped back on his bright red hair jogged up to their table. Oh, shenanigans! I can help you today! Wow, she was not kidding. It wasn't an Irish accent so much as the accent of a cereal box cartoon character. It reminded her of the time she and Shao had gone to her cousin's performance of dancing.
You can tell me if there was a little stumble on the first little Falta de O'Shenanigans. Take a listen.
Up to their table. Oh, shenanigans! I can help you today.
I mean,
the right part or no?
Yeah, sure. I can smooth it out. Sure.
if it doesn't bother you, I'm fine with that. That's
yeah.
You think it's okay? Okay.
No, I don't mind doing it again. I think you're right
Okay.
that the O shenanigans, I hesitated a little.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I need is the first part that ends with those shenanigans. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. Yep, here we go. I'll keep the how can I help you today. Here we go.
Yeah.
Jogged up to their table.
Fell to the O shenanigans.
Thank you. Okay. Here we go. Picking up after. Oh, it reminded her of the time.
Yes.
Cartoon character.
It reminded her of the time she and Shal had gone to her cousin's performance of Dancing at Lunasa, which they...
Same punch, please.
Cartoon character.
It reminded her of the time she and Shal had gone to her cousin's performance of Dancing at Lunasa, which the director had accidentally turned into a comedy by insisting on Irish accents at a Southern community theater. Tesla scanned the menu as she cleared an inappropriately hysterical laugh out of her throat. Mulligatawny soup, soda bread, and cider? It would be my pleasure, and for you. Shal was literally biting his lips as if he were struggling not to laugh. The same. Thanks. Pure gran. I'll be right back with those. The fellow actually skipped away, whistling. The moment his back was to them, Shal's grin.
The moment. Here we go.
Way. Whistling.
The moment his back was to them, Shal's grin broke out and he turned to her. Didn't we see him in Dancing at Lunasa? I was just thinking that. He mimicked the weird falsetto quaver of the terrible.
He mimicked. Here we go.
Just thinking that.
He mimicked the weird falsetto quaver of the terrible Irish accent. When I cast my mind back to that... Let me try to do that with actually, also with Shal's voice as well. Oh, dear God, what have I done to myself? Okay.
Thanks, author Mary Robinette. Here we go. After accent. Oh, she'll be able to do that.
It's fine.
Here we go. Paul asks, is the waiter's gender supposed to be known? I think you said it was a he.
Oh, good catch. Oh, I sure do. Thank you, Paul. That is a mistake. Okay, so we're gonna rewrite that first sentence, and it's gonna to avoid having singular they and plural they in the same sentence. I'm gonna change that first. A server with a bright green vest and bowler cap tipped back on shockingly bright red hair.
Okay.
Or artificially bright red hair. I think we're gonna say artificially.
Okay. Okay, a server.
Mm-hmm.
Seating options.
A server with a bright...
Seating options.
A server with a green vest and bowler cap tipped back on artificially bright red hair jogged up to their table.
Thank you. So then... You said his, our fellow. Let's see here.
Yeah, fellow is, and then his back.
Right.
I think we'll just change it to the server.
Okay. Oh, actually. Okay, so we can take it from the server through backwards to them and stop there.
Okay.
Or we can just continue.
Great. And I'm actually changing it to the moment their back was turned.
Gotcha. Okay. After right back with those.
Back with those.
Okay. The server actually skipped away, whistling. Sorry, let me do that one more time.
There we go.
Back with those.
The server actually skipped away, whistling. The moment their back was turned.
Great. Okay. So then he mimicked the wheel falsetto quaver after accent.
Okay.
So shall doing when I cast me mind. Here we go.
Terrible Irish accent.
Oh, and I cast me mind. Oh, now I just sound ancient. Oh. Which might not be inappropriate.
Terrible Irish accent.
When I cast me mind back to that summer of 1936. This is what happens when you let the director star in a production. And to be fair, Marilyn did try to warn us off. Yes, and then she also trapped us by asking what we thought of the show in front of everyone. I think she secretly enjoyed seeing our pain. Tesla laughed, and it felt like something.
Let me take it from I think. Just a little stumbly thing in there.
Mm-hmm.
In front of everyone.
I think she secretly enjoyed seeing our pain. Tesla laughed, and it felt like something in her chest unlocked a little. It was everything you promised and more. And the set. Matching her, Shao laughed. Then he tensed and was silent, with his ribs around his arms. In a really uncomfortable posture that is not possible.
With his ribs.
Okay.
After silence, here we go.
And was silent.
With his arms around his ribs and his face sealed tight. Shall? Fine. He shook his head and breathed in slowly. Worst thing about this is that most of the time it really is fine. Sore, but fine. And then... Laughing is not ideal. You need to let it heal. I'll go back to the cabin if you will. One corner of his mouth twisted in a wry half-smile. But we can assume that we've gone through our respective arguments and rebuttals on that particular discussion, come to an impasse, and skip ahead. Show me the pics you took after Ruth Fish died. The raft of arguments that she had queued up came apart and crashed into one another. It took a moment for Tesla to be able to nod. Sure. She pulled her handheld out and set it between them. Besides the spoofers, I don't even know what to look for. The image had 3 blurred spots.
Perfect. Let me just cinch that up.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Great, good.
Let me just catch something on ribs real quick here.
You need an extra S? I've got one.
Sorry, I was stealing an S from the previous one where his ribs were around his arms, and that made me laugh.
Since you really were. Oh my God.
There was a dropouts where I lost the S of S.
Got it.
So I'm just seeing if I can grab it. Oh, that'll do.
With his arm.
Can you do with his arms around his ribs and his face sealed tight? I just can't get it. Sorry.
Yes.
I tried, but you can do it better in this particular case.
Okay.
In most cases, but sometimes I'm fast enough to get it done. Here we go.
And was silent.
With his arms around his ribs and his face sealed tight.
Great. Thank you. Okay. After, I don't even know what to look for. So the image had 3.
Didn't know what to look for.
The image had 3 blurred spots. Shal pointed to the one by the body. That is probably an official one, to keep passengers from taking pictures and posting them to social. The one by the glass wall might also be. We can ask Maria. Tesla placed her finger on the one at the Martian ice cream shop. And this one? More likely to be a passenger. He grimaced. If I had access to all my systems, I could look for the spoofer's signature, but I have to trust that Maria is doing that. Mixed in with the other passengers, Annie leaned over the rail not far from the ice cream shop. Annie. Tesla closed her eyes and pulled up the image on the larger apparent screen of her HUD. She doesn't have the shopping bag yet. Interesting. Here you go. Your soup, bread, and 2 of the finest ciders in this part of the galaxy. And now you're both enjoying this grand day. Shal said, "It is everything we were promised, and more." The laugh jumped out of her before she could stop it. Opening.
There was one little kind of smooth place we could smooth out on Galaxy in the Irish accent. Let me see.
Okay. The cartoon accent.
I just got to take it from bread and 2 of the finest ciders in this part of the galaxy. Or you can just do the whole line. It's up to you. Your soup. Let's just do from your soup.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do your soup, bread, and 2 of the finest ciders, blah, blah, blah. And keep going from there.
Okay.
No, let's just, well, yeah. Let's just go from there. That's fine. Let's go from there. Here we go.
There you go.
Sorry. I was fixing one of the upcoming gingered things. Okay, great.
Okay.
There you go.
Your soup, bread, and 2 of the finest ciders in this part of the galaxy. And how are you both enjoying this grand day? Shal said, "It is everything we were promised, and more." The laugh jumped out of her before she could stop it. Opening her eyes, she tried to ignore Shal's too innocent smile and focused on the poor server. "Thanks so much. We'll call you if we need anything, but for the moment, our honeymoon?" She wrinkled her nose in a smile. "You understand." "That's grand." They winked over broadly.
Catch on day. Let me check one thing. Love the accent.
I'm so glad that people are, and you particularly, are enjoying this.
Okay. After
Like, I
that's
do not
grand.
write.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I don't ever write accents phonetically, because that's not the way we actually hear them. We hear them as normal words. Except for this one where, like, I write them phonetically when something stands out to you, and this entire accent is just egregiously bad.
All right, we're taking it from he winked over broadly at her.
That's grand.
He winked. They winked. Sorry.
My bad. I said he. Here we go.
That's grand.
They winked over broadly at her in a move that involved the entire side of their face. I'll leave you be then. Just give me a call if you need anything at all. They skipped away, whistling, and she really expected a rainbow to sprout from beneath their feet. Shaking his head, Shal said, on the list of ways to make a terrible job more humiliating, requiring a fake accent is one of the worst things I've heard of.
Requiring. Here we go.
More humiliating.
Requiring a fake accent is one of the worst things I've heard of. It's hard to maintain under the best of circumstances. Huh. What? Random thought. The line between a fake accent slipping and real accent code switching. Like the way Jalna's accent shifts to match Annie's sometimes.
Oh, listen. Can we do the line between? We left out an A out of a real accent code switching.
Okay,
Unless that
thank
was
you.
purposeful. Okay.
It was not.
Here we go.
Random thought.
The line between a fake accent slipping and a real accent code switching. Like the way Jalna's accent.
Like the way. Here we go. Like the way Jalna. Here we go.
Code switching.
Like the way Jalna's accent shifts to match Annie sometimes. Does it? Tesla selected a piece of the dense bread and thought back through conversations. I hadn't noticed. Maybe I'm wrong. Shal picked up his spoon and tried the soup. Ah, at least the soup is good. Now, where were we? Annie doesn't have the shopping bag yet. Tesla sipped.
Tesla. Atol. Yep. The end's waiting for the stereotypical atol to appear in the Irish accent.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Atol.
After baguette. Here we go.
Shopping baguette.
Tesla sipped her cider. I thought you were saying baguette, and I was like,
I did too.
why? I didn't think there was a baguette here.
I said that because that was the sound I had heard. I hadn't found the text yet, and then I realized, of course, it was baguette. All right.
I'm waiting for Kendra to deliver a pun with baguette.
Right. Francesca tells a joke. Why does Leprechaun use 2 condoms? The answer is, to be sure. Okay, let's go. After shopping baguette.
Shopping baguette.
It does sound like baguette. Should I fix that? It's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, let's just do it. Annie doesn't have. Here we go.
Where were we?
Annie doesn't have the shopping bag yet. Tesla sipped her cider, which was clean and refreshing. He hunched forward, studying the image. Right. So she goes to the gift shop after Annie dies, after Ruth dies, because going to it after she has also died would be challenging, unless we're dealing with the undead, which I suppose is a possibility. I hope there aren't vampires.
And scene.
Dun dun dun.
So she goes to the gift shop. Here we go. I got all of that, by the way. That's excellent. Here we go.
Right.
So she goes to the gift shop after Ruth dies, because that's a normal impulse. Although maybe for some people it was. Retail therapy as a way to exert control and a semblance of normalcy.
Retail therapy. Yep, here we go.
Some people it was.
Retail therapy was a way to exert control and a semblance of normalcy.
Sorry, let's take it right there. As a way.
Yeah, there's something.
There's a something. Okay.
Coming. There's something coming.
Something's coming. Something good. Or maybe not so good. Maybe today.
Actually, I think it may be stopping now.
Okay, I don't hear it. Yep. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's take it after. Sorry, with retail therapy as a way. You said was a way. Here we go.
Okay.
Only mostly then.
Some people it was.
Retail therapy as a way to exert control and a semblance of normalcy. Actually, I think it should be was a way, because
okay.
As a way means that this is not a complete sentence.
Yep.
Ugh, why is my computer doing things I don't want it to do?
Excuse me.
Sorry, it's just being a little sluggish as I insert this.
It's okay.
Is it, though? Is it? Okay.
Retail therapy.
Some people it was.
Okay. Retail therapy was a way to exert control and a semblance of normalcy. She and Ori were... Oops, sorry. That's still Tesla, sorry.
That's right, here we go.
Semblance of normalcy.
She and Ori were both gone from the yoga class, and Annie reported the bathroom being out of service, but Ori said he used it. So one of them is lying. Just one? To quote a great detective, everyone has a secret and everyone lies. A mediocre retired detective would argue the point by asking which secrets were relevant to the crime. He traced patterns on the table with the condensation from his glass. I wish I knew who had been dumped in the recycler. Tesla very carefully did not point out that he was still trying to solve the crime, even while protesting that they shouldn't get involved. If she pointed it out, he'd stop, so she dunked her bread in the soup and waited while he continued to ruminate. Xiao leaned back in his seat and stared up at the faux-pressed tin ceiling. The service stairs come out near the yoga studio. That covers a shocking number of people who were in the yoga class as being potentially involved. Not shocking, really. No, not really. No.
Let's take it from and that covers. We left the and out.
Okay.
Right there, here we go.
The studio.
Sorry.
The studio.
And that covers a shocking number of people who were in the yoga class as being potentially involved. Not really shocking, no. He tipped his head back down and reached for his cider. Most murders are committed by someone who knows the person. So, who knew all three of the deceased and Halden? Also, why did our culprit go up instead of out to mix into the crowd? They had a spoofer, so they could have gone anywhere on the ship, but they went up. Why? After we finish eating, why don't we go up the service stairs? It would give her more ground to search for Gimlet, among other things. Time to run up, maybe? Look at the bathroom and the studio. He shook his head and took another sip of his cider. You saw us trying to run on a level surface. Run the stairs? As likely as that server being from Dublin. Her insides clenched in an urge with an urge.
Her insides, here we go.
Sorry, I'm just rewriting the thing that I fixed on the fly.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. Her insides clenched.
Being from Dublin.
Her insides clenched with an urge to shout, and she held it in because he was right. We have to do something. Shal set his cider down and reached across to take her hand. Hey, we'll find her. Eyes burning, Tesla covered them with her free hand and held her breath. God, she hated the aftermath of a flashback when every emotion could tip into its most extreme variant. On the back of her hand, Shal traced circles with his thumb and gave her time to catch her breath. She squeezed his hand back and lowered her other to grab a cocktail napkin to wipe her tears away. What if we take the elevator up? Sure. He lifted her hand and kissed the back of her fingers. Studying her, his gaze went a little roguish. Tough question. Which of us is going to endure more dancing at Lunasa to get the check? I could use a little break.
All right, let me check one thing
And
before
not
we
just
stop.
to get my scissors.
Her insides clenched with an urge to shout. Can I just listen to that real quick?
Absolutely.
I want you to listen to this thing, and then Alessandra had a question I need to ask you too. Take a listen.
Okay.
Her insides clenched with an urge to shout, and she held it in because he was right.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah, no, there's a hesitation. You're right.
Okay. All right, let's do that. It's right at the last sentence of the page 265 at the very bottom.
Got it.
There we go.
Being from Dublin.
Her insides clenched with an urge to shout.
Thank you. And then, let's see here. Just doing the edit. Shout. Great, that works. Alessandra said, did you happen to change the fellow to server or service? It looked like the latter, but now it's behind your picture and she can't tell. Wondered if there's an autocorrect error, maybe a typing.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Thank you.
Yep. Good catch.
Indeed.
All right. And
Indeed. Ah, to be sure.
okay. So then we are taking a what now?
Taking 5?
5. Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. All right, I return you all to your light jazz, and we'll see you back in 5.
Sounds good.
Well, I am back, but Andrew is still Oops. Andrew's not quite yet. So I thought I would share with you the exciting new word that Elsie coined this weekend. If you have not watched that video on my YouTube channel, she coined the word laser bird or bird laser. I can't remember which. I had a you know how your cell phone will sometimes catch the light and cast a reflection up on the ceiling? Elsie was very excited by that and had pressed want and stared at the... That's okay. That's fine. I was just telling... Great. I have already brought us back in and was just telling them about the word that Elsie coined this weekend, which was laser bird or bird laser. She wanted my cell phone was reflecting on the ceiling and she wanted it. And she said want and had jumped on the back of the chair and then jumped back down after a little while and said laser bird. And I'm like, given the vocabulary that you have, I think that that's an excellent, excellent coinage for what a reflection is. It's a bird laser. It's bright and it's up in the ceiling and it moves fast.
Laser bird.
And it's a little fluttery.
I missed the very first part where you're telling what it actually is.
Oh, it was my cell phone was reflecting on the ceiling. You know how they'll do that in the sunbeam, right. And then
right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we are on tailspin.
Yes.
Ready?
Indeed.
Here we go.
Seeing her, his gaze went a little roguish. Tough question. Which of us is going to endure more dancing at Lunasa to get the check?
Tailspin. 3/4 ounce sweet vermouth, 3/4 ounce green chartreuse, 3/4 ounce gin, half teaspoon Campari, cherry, lemon slice. Stir ingredients over ice for 40 seconds and strain into coupe. Garnish with cherry and lemon twist. Shal had been right about taking the elevator up to the lunar level. Tesla's left leg moved as if it were made of lead and attached to her body with thistles. Tenuous and prickly, punctuated with occasional bright pops. The stairs hadn't even vaguely been an option. She stopped outside the elevator on the lunar level and cupped her hands to her mouth. "Gimlet?" The hum of conversation and the cheerful background music of the ship continued uninterrupted. "Gimlet?" Shal's voice vanished into the scrum of other sounds. Tesla sighed, limping over to look behind the closest ficus, not because she actually thought Gimlet would be there, but because she needed to know for sure that she wasn't. She was not. They crossed the bridge, heading to the stairs on the far side. As they came down the slope, Tesla saw a spot of white behind the ficus at the other side.
Let's take... Can we do? But she needed to know for sure that she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But because she just to drop out.
Okay.
Here we go.
Gimlet would be there.
But because she needed to know for sure that she wasn't. She was not. They crossed the bridge, heading... Okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna...
It's okay.
After spot of white. Here we go.
Okay.
A spot of white.
Behind the ficus at the other side, curling like a tiny dog's tail. Gimlet! Sorry, that's Tesla. Gimlet!
Any dog's tail.
Gimlet? It didn't move. Shal's hand tightened on hers. Shit. Tesla tried to move into a run, but her cane and lunar gravity tangled her feet. She stumbled, grabbing the railing, and didn't take her gaze off that unmoving white tail. Shal stopped, reaching for her, and she shook her head. Go! Nodding, he took off at a hunched jog, one arm around his ribs. He slowed as he reached the ficus. His shoulders slumped. Shal reached into his pocket and pulled out a pair of blue nitrile gloves. Heart choking her, Tesla staggered after him. Getting down on one knee, he peered into the dark space behind the ficus. As she reached him, he turned to face her with a gloved hand out to stop her from getting too close. It's not Gimlet. Tesla bent forward.
After it's not Gimlet, here we go.
It's not Gimlet.
Tesla bent forward, catching her weight on her cane with her head bowed. Oh, God, I know. He sucked air in through his teeth. Can I borrow your handheld? I need to take photos and call Maria. Slowly, she straightened. Why? It's an out-of-order sign. For the bathroom. He pointed to the white tail, which was now more clearly the end of a decorative tassel that matched the decor.
He pointed. Here we go.
For the bathroom.
He pointed to the white tail, which was now more clearly the end of a decorative tassel that matched the decor of the ship. I'm thinking this is not an official storage area. So Annie was telling the truth. He waggled his hand. Hard to say. It doesn't make sense for someone to have blocked the bathroom and then forgotten this here. You think she was framing Ori? Tesla pulled out her handheld for him. I don't know anything at this point. Shal reached up and took the rolled.
1 second. Match the decor. I just wanted to give a listen to that real quick.
Okay.
Decorative tassel that matched the decor of the ship.
Yeah, it sounds like I don't know how to pronounce the word, and I'm thinking about it.
Let's just do that. Match the decor. That little phrase, please.
The decorative tassel
that matched the. Okay, sorry, I see what's going on there. Let me drink some water.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
The decorative tassel
that matched the decor of the ship.
Okay, 1 second.
It's fine. I have my crochet bag. I'm okay.
Okay.
Cut. Carry on. And it actually turned out my sewing basket was within reach, just not where I was looking for it.
Clearly the end of a decorative tassel.
Okay, great. Moving on. Shal reached up and took the rolled cylinder. Here we go.
At this point.
Shal reached up and took the rolled cylinder she offered. Shuffling on his knees, he took shots from a few angles. Tesla stood behind him, feeling useless and shaky. She clenched her hands on her cane, using it to create a tripod of stability as Shal worked. When he was finished, he sat back on his heels and tapped the screen a few times. Want to place bets on how long it takes Maria to call? Pushing up carefully, he rose with relative grace in the lunar gravity. 30 seconds? He shrugged. She's busy. The handheld buzzed, and he lifted the rolled cylinder to his ears for a voice-only call, grinning. Maria! Hey! Yeah. We just spotted it on the lunar level. Uh-huh. Yeah? Yeah, that's not going to happen, and you should be ashamed of yourself for asking. And you should be ashamed of asking.
Bottom of the previous page. He tapped on his heels and tapped the screen a couple of times. I think you said a few.
Okay. Thank you. I think I did.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Find my spot. Yep, he sat back on his heels 3 times. We just need that.
Okay.
There we go. Someone else caught it too. Thank you.
When he was finished,
He sat back on his heels and tapped the screen a couple of times.
Thank you. And then that was it. So picking it up with, yeah, that's not going to happen. Here we go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, and you should be ashamed of asking. Promise we'll wear gloves until you... What? Whoops, you're breaking up. Bye! Shal disconnected the call and handed the device to Tesla. It rang again immediately. She raised her brows as she silenced it and tucked it into her pocket. So, what are we doing now? I want to look at the bathroom. He dug in his pocket and produced another pair of blue nitrile gloves which almost floated in the light gravity, and held the pair out to her. In case we find anything. Where did you get those? Tesla leaned her cane against her hip as she worked the gloves on. Liberated them from sickbay. If you see anything, take a picture before you move it. Noted. Even with the constant undercurrent of worry for Gimlet.
Let's listen to one quick thing. Promise we'll wear gloves till you is just the phrase I need, just a little bit garbly.
Okay.
Please. Previous. You see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Ashamed of asking.
Promise we'll wear gloves until you... What?
Thank you. Got it. Okay. Here we go.
Noted.
Even with the constant undercurrent of worry for Gimlet, Tesla had a surge of adrenaline at the thought of doing something potentially useful. What counts as anything in this context? Things that... wow, that's hard to articulate. He stopped and held up his hand. Wait. Okay. Picture a generic bathroom. When we go in, we're looking for things that don't fit. Some stuff will just be a product of the design, some will be accidental damage, some might be evidence. Part of why we take photos is so we know.
Part of why, here we go.
Might be evidence.
Part of why we take photos is so we know what something looked like in situ, and also because it's often not the thing itself, but the context in which it is found. Am I making any sense, or am I just rambling? You're making sense. She snapped the second glove into place. Let's see what we find. Shal pushed the door open and held it until she was through. Inside the door.
Inside, here we go.
Until she was through.
Inside the door, he stopped. Without moving anything except his head, he studied the room. Tesla stood beside him, trying to see what he saw. A long, narrow room with gray faux marble walls on the left and a lunar...
After left.
Walls on the left.
and a lunar urinal. Oh, dear God.
Here we go.
Walls on the left.
And a lunar urinal vacuum, also done in faux gray marble. Okay.
You felt like I wasn't having enough fun, huh?
Mm-hmm. No, I needed you to do a little more work. Just cinch those together, it'll be fine.
Same punch. Here we go.
Walls on the left.
And a lunar urinal vacuum, also done in faux gray marble. On the right, a bank of 3 sinks and a mirror. In it, she was briefly startled by the captain before she remembered she was wearing a hat. Her eyes were red-rimmed and her pupils were too big. Tesla pulled her gaze away to the bank of stalls on the right side for people who wanted to sit. Beyond that, the largest accessibility stall. Why they were always at the far end was beyond her understanding. The air was scented with lemongrass and mint, and low, soothing music played a popgrass rendition of the theme to Miracle Man. Beside her, Shal bent, bracing on the sink, and peered under the nearest stall. They're all empty. He stood, looking up at the corners.
Stood. Larger. We got to go back beyond that. The larger accessibility stall.
Okay. I said largest, didn't I?
You did. All we need is the larger accessibility stall as a phrase.
Okay.
There we go.
Beyond that.
The larger accessibility stall. Why they were always...
Great. Thank you. Great, moving on. After they're all empty. Here we go.
Okay.
They're all empty.
He stood, looking up at the corners of the room. No cameras, which is as it should be given privacy laws, but sometimes... Tesla checked out the hand sanitizer and the sinks, as if she had any clue what she was looking for.
Tesla checked. Here we go.
Sometimes.
Tesla checked out the hand sanitizer and the sinks, as if she had any clue what she was looking for her. Oh, for what? Fuck's sake, why do you keep adding a her? I mean, I know why. But...
Here we go.
Sometimes.
Tesla checked out the hand sanitizer and the sinks, as if she had any clue what she was looking for. To her, it looked like a bathroom. I'm going to start at the far end and work my way back. Okay, I'll meet you in the middle. Tesla went into the nearest stall, and the lid of the lunar-style toilet slid back with a cheerful melody that masked the sound of its suction fan and paired with the room music. Blue sterilizing lights flashed.
Blue, here we go. Oops, here we go.
With the room music.
Blue sterilizing lights flashed across the surface of the seat in an unnecessarily complicated dance. Behind the toilet, the wall had a recessed shelf to put necessary items on. It was empty. Bracing on the cane, she bent down to look behind the toilet. Even in the reduced gravity, she could feel the muscles in her back refer their tension of her leg. Refer their tension of down her leg. What the fuck was I trying to do there? I think the
Pick out
is
the
wrong.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
After back. Starting with the fur.
Muscles in her back.
Refer.
Oops, not that. Here we go.
Muscles in her back.
refer their attention down her leg into a hot spot behind her knee. Nothing behind the toilet, nothing in the trash disposal, nothing in the corners. She went to the next stall and was treated to the same singing light show from the toilet. A wadded-up bit of tissue was stuck to the floor in one corner, gross but not out of place. From the far end of the bathroom, Shal hissed, "Find something?" He was silent for a moment, and when he spoke, his voice was strained. "Twisted the wrong way." Probably that's all it was. Or a murderer was holed up in here and had pulled a steak knife on him. Her heart was beating too quickly as she left the stall and walked down the road to where he was. In the second-to-last booth...
In the second, here we go.
To where he was.
In the second-to-last booth... Oh, sorry, I actually need to change a thing.
Okay. We've already done, or we're about to do?
That we already did. It had bothered me, but I was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Nothing in the trash disposal. It should be trash recycler. Gotcha.
Find it. 1483. Okay. Just that phrase. I am ready.
Okay.
Behind the toilet.
Nothing in the trash recycler.
After row to where he was. The next page. In the second to last booth is where we're going.
Got it.
Row to where he was.
In the second-to-last booth, Shal had one hand against the wall and the other pressed to his side as he looked behind the toilet. He glanced up at her. "Afraid I was being held at knife point?" I have a question. Also true, or true enough now. Things like wadded-up toilet paper. Normal refuse or something to note? If this were the first day and we had a forensics team in here, they'd catalog it, run labs on it, and tell us definitively. He shrugged. Here, it's probably refuse. A cleaning crew has been through since. How can you tell? Toilet paper rolls are all full, trash is empty.
You wondering about toilet paper?
No, that part's fine. So the trash is empty.
Recycler is empty.
I think I'm just going to take out toilet paper. Trash is empty.
Okay. Leanne appreciates what the bloody fuck. That's a great way to start dissing someone, and wonders if you've been hanging out with a lot of English people lately or practicing for reclamation.
Both. All of the above. Okay.
All right. So after how can you tell? Here we go.
How can you tell?
Toilet paper rolls are all full. He nodded to the front of the room. Also, there's a sign-off checklist by the door. They come through every 4 hours. Oh. So this is pointless. Shal rubbed the back of his neck. Not pointless. It's good to be familiar with the lay of the land. And if something kept whoever it was from coming back for the out-of-order sign, then maybe they missed something here too. She sighed and went back to looking at toilets. It was pointless, and he was humoring her, and she still didn't know what else to do. The longer it went without Gimlet turning up, the more she was sure that someone had killed her dog. That tassel had looked so much like... Tesla stopped where she was, clenching her cane with both hands. Gimlet would be fine. Everyone loved her. Even if they intended something nefarious, one look at those big dark eyes would melt them. She reached for the familiar comfort of ritual. Toilet, walls, blue lights, blue nubbin. Hello. It was stuck to the wall, nearly at the ceiling. Tesla took a snap with her handheld. Shall? Yeah. He poked his head out of the stall. That's a sucker foot. She pointed to the spot of blue. This happened with octopoids sometimes, when they got really good suction on a surface and a sucker foot pulled free of the limb. It was stuck high up on the wall next to a brass accent that ran along the top. And that's a cable run, and that is an access hatch for a junction box.
Let me just do one thing on this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do this happen with octopoids sometimes, or just a dropout-y thing?
Sure thing.
Here we go. Just that phrase.
To the spot of blue.
This happened with octopoids sometimes, when they got really good, and you didn't need it anyway.
That's all right, I got you. I assume you did research, obviously, on octopoids, and I assume this does happen sometimes.
Octopoids are not a real thing, so yes, I absolutely did research on them.
Aren't they? Someone must
Not
be doing them
really.
somewhere.
Yes.
I know they're working with.
Spaceships.
I know they're working with gecko material for stuff.
Yeah. I mean, suction cups pulling free of their handles is definitely a real thing.
Yeah. I just figured someone was robotically actually working on something like that. This happened. We got that. Okay. Is an access hatch for a junction box. Let's take it right there.
Yeah,
There you
there's
go.
so much hand waving.
Here we go.
And that
Is an access hatch for a junction box. He stared up at it. A sucker foot as in an octopod. Or an
One sec. Okay, so or an octopoid. Here we go.
and an octopod.
No, I need to say that again because I said octopot instead of octobot.
Gotcha. Here we go.
He stared up at it.
A sucker foot as in an octobot. Or an octopoid. They use the same general movement vector, but one is running... She caught herself before she could get into the weeds talking about processors and latencies. The point is that neither my Accubot nor the medical octopoid are blue, but when I met Ewan, they said the robot they used in competition was a blue polydactyl octopoid. I have to lean on you for this. Is that a rare enough combination that it's likely to be the same one? She sucked air through her teeth, thinking, well, most of the commercial ones are a neutral gray or off-white. My design teams work with the fashion.
My design. Here we go.
Or off-white.
My design teams work with the fashion industry colors, and this year those were purple, teal, and metallic gold.
This season.
Mm-hmm.
Same punch, please.
Or off-white.
My design teams work with fashion industry colors, and this season those were purple, teal, and metallic gold. So blue isn't a this year model. I could compare it to photos of the one you and...
Sorry, let's go back and do same punch one more time with the fashion industry.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Or off-white.
My design teams work with the fashion industry colors, and this year those were purple, teal, and metallic gold. So blue isn't a... this season, for fuck's sake.
Here we go.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
for listeners, so I was just going to say, for our audience, one of the things that will happen to narrators sometimes is that you will, because you're slightly scanning ahead as you're reading, you'll pick up words from a farther down in a paragraph, usually something that's in the line next, right below it. And so this season and this year being stacked right on top of each other, that's one of the reasons that, like, and also at a line break, it's combining kind of all of the possible places for me to have trouble. Line breaks, page breaks are frequently also places where you'll bobble because you're having to shift. Anyway, I just thought you'd be... It's like, I know why this is happening. That doesn't mean that it's going to stop happening. Okay.
All right, 1 second.
One more time.
Yes.
Gonna nail it.
Popping
Nailed
up
it.
Chat again. Nailed it. All right. So, same punch.
Or off-white.
Sorry, one more time.
Or off-white.
My design teams work with the fashion industry colors, and this season those were purple, teal, and metallic gold. So blue isn't a this year model. I could compare it to photos.
You can do it from I could compare.
Thank God. Hey, I'm not the only one who sings.
I could compare. What's that?
I said I'm not the only one who sings.
No, definitely not. Here we go.
This year model.
I could compare it to photos of the one Ewan used back in competition. Shal nodded and wandered over to stand under the sucker foot. He reached up to grab the top of the nearest stall and stopped abruptly with a hiss of pain. For a moment, he held still before slowly lowering his arms. Nope, not a chance. He stayed with his back to her, head bent. God damn it. Give me a sec to document it. And will you send some?
And will you send? Here we go.
God damn it.
Give me a sec to document it. And will you send some shots to Maria and Fantine for safety, since I'm still offline? I can ask Fantine again to deal with that, as if she's stopped trying. She'll keep hounding them to reconcile me with the net. That's not the correct thing. Reconnect.
She'll keep. Here we go.
She's stopped trying.
She'll keep hounding them to reconnect me to the net until she gets the answer she wants. Shal took another look around the bathroom. Not a lot of people use this, do they? There's not much cause to go past it, unless you're here for yoga, I guess. All right. Let's leave it there until Maria.
Let's leave it. Here we go.
All right.
Let's leave it there until Maria gets up here. He had an energy in his voice that ran shivers down her spine. Want to take a look at the yoga studio now? You always invite me to the nicest places. He winked at her and then kissed her. There's no the and.
He winked at her. After her. Here we go.
He winked at her.
Then kissed her on the cheek. His breath was warm and feathered against her ear. Have I told you how deeply sexy your brain is? Tesla went warm all over as heat radiated out from her core. I love you too. He took her hand, still clad in nitrile gloves, as they walked out of the bathroom. Rather than heading straight into the yoga studio, Shal veered over to the rail of the bridge that spanned.
Shal veered. Let me check one thing. realm of things that have changed, even though we haven't changed anything, the delay between you and I has changed.
Weird.
It's less today, so the punch is a little tight. So I'm just adjusting the back timing. So hopefully it doesn't keep happening. But it's like 200 milliseconds shorter, at least.
Wow. Random.
It's like interesting. Yep. Better internet traffic today, I guess. Less congested.
Yes.
Who knows? Okay. Shal veered
into the yoga studio.
Shal veered over to the rail of the bridge that spanned the plaza below. Cable run is out here, too. The same one? Tesla leaned over the bridge to look at it. I'd have to see a schematic, but if it's in line the junction box... Okay, sorry, I see what I was actually doing there.
Yep, let's do that again. From cable run is out here too. Am I glitchy for you, or am I okay?
You've been doing the little tiny poppy stuff, but it's been fine.
Okay. Let's take the same punch. I was getting a handful of little dropouts on that whole phrase. So let's try just there again, please.
Into the yoga studio.
Shal veered over to the rail of the bridge that spanned, not spawned, which is...
I'm getting the same thing. I'm wondering whether I should disconnect and reconnect on Source Connect or something.
Okay, should you do that or should I?
Yeah, maybe you should.
Both? Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay.
As you know,
One
sometimes
sec.
it just takes a while for me to come back. I will be back.
Okay.
Hello.
You're back.
I am.
Excellent. That sounds, except for the train, that sounds better already.
It's an airplane.
Is that a train?
But that's an airplane.
Oh, well, close. The interesting thing is Leanne was saying that I sound fine over the YouTube's feed. It's kind of interesting. You know, it's probably that the YouTube feed is a lesser quality or something. I don't know. Lesser quality MP3? I don't know.
Random.
All right. Is that still... Nope. Seems okay. Okay.
Okay.
So, Shal veered one more time.
Into the yoga studio.
Shal veered over to the rail of the bridge that spanned the plaza below. Cable run is out here, too. The same one? Tesla leaned over the bridge to look at it. I'd have to see a schematic. But if it's in line, the junction box would let it... Shit! Shal tensed and moved farther across the bridge, looking down to the Martian level. I see Ori and Ewan. Where? He pointed, and it still took a minute to spot them walking in the crowd. Ewan was talking animatedly, gesturing with their hands as Ori listened. He slowed them and pointed to the ice cream shop. Ewan nodded as the pair turned in. Shal headed across the bridge, keeping an eye on the Snow Queen's open storefront. Tesla followed him, with one hand on the rail. That's where the spoofer was. Take a picture, then review it. Is there a blur? She snapped the Martian level, and it seemed largely innocuous, with a mix of pedestrians moving along a promenade.
Let's go back and get a couple quick things. Okay. Her a minute. Previous page. And it still took her a minute to spot them walking in the crowd.
Got it.
I gotta find it myself. We just left the her out. So just that phrase, but you said it's still. There we go.
He pointed.
And it still took her a minute to spot them walking in the crowd.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then, and the pair. Ewan nodded and the pair turned in.
Okay.
You said as the pair turned in.
Okay.
There we go. Just a little bit further there.
To the ice cream shop.
Ewan nodded and the pair turned in.
Thank you. Let's do this. Okay, moving on. The mix. With a mix of pedestrians. Here we go on the next page.
Largely innocuous.
Sorry, it's a second paragraph, second line.
Yep, found it.
Largely innocuous.
With a mix of pedestrians moving along a promenade with open storefronts that were designed to seem like quaint shops in a real town. What broke that casual appearance was a ring of haze where Ori and Ewan were. It wasn't staticky, but had a slight halo around a group of folks.
Here we go.
Ori and Ewan were.
It wasn't staticky, but had a slight halo around a group of folks where an AI had sent out a false signal to replace the scene. A very, very high-grade spoofer where Ori and Ewan were. Surprised face. Shal glanced at Tesla. I need you to hang back far enough that Maria can spot you on the security cameras. Your job is to keep an eye on me, and my job is to keep an eye on them, okay? She nodded. You aren't going to engage with him, are you? He shook his head as they arrived at the elevator. Not by choice. He pushed the button.
A very, very high-grade spoof where Ori and Ewan are. You said where they were.
Okay.
There we go. A very, very high-grade spoofer. That sentence. Here we
go. To replace the scene.
A very, very high-grade spoofer where Ori and Ewan are.
Great. Thank you. He pushed. Here we go.
Not by choice.
He pushed the button and leaned back around the corner to stare down at the Snow Queen. Call me when it comes. Will do. Her palms were sweating, and she had to keep switching hands with her cane. The elevator doors were glass, and she could see through them.
Elevator doors. Here we go.
Switching hands with her cane.
The elevator.
Hands with her cane.
The elevator doors were glass, and she could see through them and the glass wall beyond to a slightly distorted view of the ice cream shop. It looked like Ori and Ewan were still in there, but she didn't have a great view. The elevator finally crawled up into place, completely filled with a wedding party. Shal, it's here! She stepped to the side to let them off. The bridal dress filled most of the elevator, with members of the wedding party and an assortment of purples and teals taking up the rest of the space. They were laughing and passing around a bottle of champagne to top off glasses. None of them moved to get off the elevator. One of them spotted her and wrinkled their nose. "Sorry, meant to go down." "Overheard at an orgy," another one laughed and jabbed the door closed button. At her side, Shao growled under his breath.
At her side.
Door closed button.
At her side, Shao growled under his breath. He blew a gust out through his nose and glared at the descending elevator. "All right. Look, I'm going to take the stairs. I need you to stay here and keep an eye on them. I won't be able to spot movement from the stairwell. If they start to... Okay.
Let me check out. 1 second.
It's okay, while you're
He
doing
blew a
that,
gust
I will
out through his
answer-
nose.
Got it?
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Oh, I was just going to answer a question that had popped up in chat, but we'll carry
Yeah,
on.
go ahead.
We'll come back to it.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Growled under his breath.
He blew a gust out through his nose and glared at the descending elevator. "All right. Look."
Thanks.
So there are questions about what a polydactyl octopoid looks like. If it has limbs or so it comes down and has toes. So it doesn't just come down to and each toe has its own sucker foot. So it's that's what a polydactyl octopoid looks like.
Let's see here. After stairwell.
Okay.
If they start to go before I'm down, is what we're doing.
Great.
Okay.
Movement from the stairwell.
If they start to go before I'm down, trail them on this level and call me... Damn it! Point to direct me. Got it. She pushed the call button for the elevator as he hurried to the stairs. Since it would take forever to arrive, she went back to the bridge where she'd be able to see the elevator coming up through the glass walls and have enough warning to get back to it. Ori and Ewan were leaning on the ice cream display, pointing to different flavors. She sent out a silent prayer that the kid would want to try one of everything before deciding. Around her, the rest of the passengers moved along the various promenade levels as if nothing bad had ever happened to them or to anyone. She took a pic of the Snow Queen and played it back. The shop was blurred and out of focus. Dismissing the photo, she clung to the rail and hated being a spectator. Tesla went back to the elevator and pushed the button rapidly, as if that had ever made one come faster. She?
Here we go.
Or made one come faster.
She split her attention between the ice cream shop and the promenade, waiting for the moment when, there he was. Shao was threading his way.
Shao, here we go.
There he was.
Shao was threading his way through the people on the far side of the promenade. The elevator started to rise. Tesla opened and closed her hand on her cane. Slow breaths. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. It arrived and she got in, pressing the button for the Martian level. She turned to glance. She turned back.
She turned.
Button for the Martian level.
She turned back to the glass wall to look for Shao. As the door closed,
Same punch. I heard a little movement or something.
Button for the Martian level.
As she turned back to the glass walls, not door.
No as, right?
Yes.
Here we go.
button for the Martian level.
She turned back to the glass wall to look for Shal. As the doors closed behind her, a dog barked. "Gimlet!" Tesla spun and her back seized. The doors closed. She dragged herself to the control panel and frantically pressed the door open button. The elevator started to descend. "No! God damn it, no!" Shaking, she turned back to the glass to wait for the elevator to get down to the Martian level so she could go back up again. She brought up Gimlet's tracker on her HUD, hoping something had changed. But her dog's beacon was still situated in Halden's cabin with the same damn note. Offline. Last known location. She wanted to scream. Staring out this glass side.
Staring. There you go.
She wanted to scream.
Staring out the glass side, she watched Shal approach the ice cream shop. Inside, Ewan finally had a cone. Ori was laughing at something they said and turned. They saw Shal. He took a step back. Turning, he took Ewan by the arm and moved the kid around the counter. Shal moved forward, and she couldn't hear him, but she could see that he was talking. The ice cream shop staff was as well, but Ori ignored them and took Ewan straight to a service door. This shouldn't be an ice cream shop. This should be a shaved ice shop, actually.
You want to go back?
No, it's a change I would have to make all the way through. It's a piece of world building that I'm like, oh, that would have made a lot more sense. Oh, well.
Gotcha. It sounds like they saw Shal. Can we do he saw Shal right there? Or did you change that on purpose? You did that on purpose.
No, I did not.
No. Okay. He saw Shal is what we please.
They said and turned.
He saw Shal. He took a step back. Turning, he took Ewan by the arm. Mm-hmm.
Got it. But Ori ignored them. Here we go.
Shop staff was as well.
Again?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
The ice cream shop staff right there. Here we go.
See that he was talking.
The ice cream shop staff...
Here we go.
See that he was talking.
The ice cream shop staff was as well, but Ori ignored them and took Ewan straight to a service door. It opened for him. Shal sprang forward and just caught it with his foot. Then he chased them through. Tesla pressed her forehead against the glass as she
She deflated slowly.
Melting, I'm melting. What a world, what a world.
Alessandra, she was going to change the ice cream shop to a snow cone shop, a shaved ice shop, but she's not going to do that.
Yeah.
She was curious.
Yeah.
After glass.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, because, like, Mars milk would be extremely, like, cows on Mars, goats on Mars, all of that. But ice, so shave ice makes a lot more sense as a Martian food delicacy thing. I'm going to come up with something that is canonical that makes total sense why there would be an ice cream shop. Maybe it's a specialty thing because it's rare, you know?
Right.
But I'm just kind of mad at myself because I'm like, oh, that's a really good world building that I should have done, and I'm also not going to fix it. Probably. I may look at it on break.
Yep.
We'd have to just go back and fix. Like, I would fix it in the manuscript. This is the problem. I would fix it in the manuscript, but there's so many places that we'd have to go back and fix it in the audiobook, and that's a lot of punch-ins to fix something that is not actually wrong.
Okay. So, after Tessa pressed her forehead against the glass, starting with as she continued to descend the gravity well to Mars.
Yep.
Forehead against the glass.
as she continued to descend the gravity well to Mars. Reckless generosity. 2 ounces sweet vermouth, 1 ounce rum, dash orange bitters, pinch cayenne salt, orange peel. Stir vermouth, rum, and bitters over ice for 40 seconds. Drain into coupe. Add dash of cayenne salt. Garnish with a flamed orange peel. The elevator doors opened on the Martian level. If Shal hadn't gone through that goddamned door, she would go back up and look for Gimlet, but he was an idiot and she was going to kill him herself. Gritting her teeth.
Garnish. You added an A. Garnish with A.
Okay.
What's that phrase?
Dash of cayenne salt.
Garnish with flamed orange peel. Sorry about the thump there. I hope that was after you.
I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. As you can see in the chat, Leanne would like you to not change it to a shaved ice shop because that would not mean anything for people who don't live in countries where shaved ice is a thing.
Yes.
That's her vote.
That's a fair vote. Fair vote. However, you also don't live in a country where a lunar vacuum toilet is a thing either. And if anyone asks me what a lunar vacuum toilet looks like, that is one of those things that I have hand-waved past because when I did my copy edit read aloud, one of the folks listening in was like, regular toilet? I thought this was the lunar level. And I was like, fuck. And I just said, put the word lunar vacuum toilet in as if I knew what it was, and I don't. But it sounds like I do. Like polydactyl octopoid? Nah, those are just fancy words.
Like Shal's thing when he did that
Hemorrhoidal.
hemorrhoidal. Whatever it was. Okay,
Calibration.
after calibration, right. Kill him herself, so gritting her teeth. Here we go.
Okay.
Going to kill him herself.
Gritting her teeth as she left part of her soul in the elevator, Tesla dialed the DBPS past all the safeties. She went as fast as she could to the ice cream shop, but it was still little more than a fast walk. Even though she didn't hurt, the nerve in her back was still pinched, and her left leg moved like she was pushing it through an ice field. She dialed Fontaine, knowing that the lag would now be 13 minutes for the round trip, and that there was nothing Fontaine could actually do anyway. There's no anyway.
There's nothing Fontaine. Here we go. Knowing that the lag. Here we go.
Okay.
She dialed Fontaine.
Knowing that the lag would now be 13 minutes for the round trip and that there was nothing Fontaine could actually do. Mostly, she wanted to have a recording stored off the ship of whatever was about to happen. Fontaine, when you get this, I'm calling because Shal just chased Ori Slootmakers and Ewan into the service corridors on the Martian level. Also, I heard Gimlet bark. Her voice was breathy as she threaded through the passengers meandering across the bridge. I'm following Shal, which I know you'll tell me not to do, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm also calling Officer Piper to ask for help because
Voice was breathy.
You want me to make it breathier? I can.
You can. It was just the smoothness of it. I don't think you need to make it breathier unless.
Great.
Yeah. Just after Gimlet bark. Here we go.
So I heard Gimlet bark.
Her voice was breathy as she. That's. You have to be breathy if you're going to.
All right, same punch. Here we go.
So I heard Gimlet bark.
Her voice was breathy as she threaded through the passengers meandering across the bridge.
Thank you. One sec.
Mm-hmm.
also calling. Here we go. Here we go.
But I'm doing it anyway.
I'm also calling Officer Piper to ask for help, so I'm not being totally.
But I'm doing it anyway.
I'm also calling Officer Piper to ask for help, so I'm not being totally stupid. As Tesla rounded the corner at the end of the bridge, she opened another line and called Piper.
Hello, this is Bob.
Bob! Tesla's heart kicked sideways. I was calling Officer Piper.
She's occupied. Her calls are being routed to me.
Aren't you supposed to be guarding Halden?
Yep,
His shrug was almost audible through the handheld.
I can do both.
The archway to the Snow Queen shop in all its pink confectioner's glory.
The archway. Here we go.
I can do both.
I'm going to drink some water. Look away from the tablet.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
I can do both.
The archway to the Snow Queen shop, in all its pink confectioner's glory, bloomed on the left. Bloomed? It's not bad, actually, but loomed is the correct word.
Here we go with loomed.
Confectioner's glory.
Loomed on the left side of the walkway. When will she be available?
You'll have to ask Chief Weiser.
A scream lay under her skin, clawing to get out. She did not want to talk to Weiser. Can you transfer me?
He's occupied. His calls are being routed to me.
Oh my God! Tesla stopped outside the Snow Queen, and a passenger carrying a baby glared at her for the random outburst. Fine, look. Tell Piper that Ori Sloopmakers and his kid went through the service door of the Snow Queen and that Shal is chasing them. Also, I heard Gimlet bark near the elevator on the lunar level. I'm following Shal.
Wait,
For the first time, she heard some urgency in Bob's voice.
you can't do that.
Then come and stop me. She hung up and stalked into the ice cream shop. It smelled of sugar and cinnamon. The blue-trousered servers behind the counter.
The blue. Here we go.
Of sugar and cinnamon.
The blue-trousered servers behind the counter smiled at her as she aimed straight for the service door next to the counter. Welcome to the Snow Queen. Would you like to try, excuse me, that's not a door for customers. Oh, sorry, I actually want to do a different voice for this person.
Okay. Welcome. Here we go.
Actually,
This
no,
door
this
next
voice
to the
was fine.
counter.
Sorry, actually, no, that voice was fine.
Okay. 1 minute. That's not a door. Here we go.
Okay.
Excuse me.
That's not a door for customers. My spouse went through this a bit ago. Tesla pulled on the knob and the door didn't budge. Shal was behind this and Gimlet was upstairs. Could you? Oh, no. I'm sorry, I can't. But I just saw my spouse and 2 other people go through. Her voice was completely reasonable and only a little brittle. I would like to join them. The servers exchanged looks with each other, and the one closest to her said, I'm really sorry, but I can't. Would you like some ice cream? I would not. Tesla wet her lips and tried to calm down. Nothing that was happening was this young person's fault. May I speak to the manager? I am the manager. Tesla took a controlled breath and stretched a smile across her stiff cheeks, even though they wouldn't be able to see it through her courtesy mask. The act of smiling made her voice less harsh. I'll make other arrangements. A little bit less harsh. Climbing the management chain was possible, but she didn't need to. She had Holden. She stepped back from the counter and dialed Maria Piper's number again.
This is Bob.
Bob, may I speak to Holden?
No.
Look, you mammering lobster, I need to talk to Holden right now. He hung up on her. Fury painted everything bright red. She almost called back, but winning would take too long under these circumstances. She looked at the lock and the door and the windows into the service corridor beyond. Shal was somewhere. Does it bother anyone that
couple-
she has a mask? Are we all okay with assuming that she printed a new mask while she was someplace off screen?
Didn't it stick? Didn't it? I thought it almost tripped her in her cane. They probably picked it up back on the way back.
But I
don't
have a line where she says she didn't know where her mask was in a previous scene.
Mm. Mm.
So I think I
Need to pull it.
yes. Well, and also she has kissed Shal without a mask on. She needs to have a mask on right now. How do I reconcile this? I hate continuity errors.
Alessandra says off-screen new mask sounds okay.
Yeah, but I also have her kissing
Maybe-
Shal. So I just need to have a line about put the new mask she'd printed, secured the new mask she'd printed, probably right before that elevator arrives with all the people. Sorry, previous chapter. Do you want to fix that now? Or do you want to...
Yep.
Okay.
No, let's fix it now so we don't forget. And we'll go back and get there's a couple things on this punch here too. But all right, so I got to go back to 1511. Let me find that.
Are we fixing things on the punch, or are you still...
No, let's go back to do this older one first. If that's okay.
Yeah,
Or would you? Yeah, let's do that.
okay. The older one meaning me fixing the mask situation?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Where's the kissing?
I thought that she
You can
kissed
see the
him.
chat now, right? Reed says that she does.
Yeah. No, Reed is making that suggestion.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, y'all don't have to actually make suggestions on how to fix things. I appreciate it, but I can actually fix it on my own. But when I say where am I going to fix this, that is a rhetorical. That is not a.
Let's see. All right, tell me where you want to go. I'm on page 274. Is that around the right area?
Yeah.
Sorry, are you waiting on me or are you looking for a spot?
No, I'm doing rewriting.
Okay.
And it'll be 273.
273. Okay.
Catch up with me, computer. Okay, so we're going to do 2 inserts. The first is on 273.
Mm-hmm.
He took her hand, still clad in nitrile gloves. And I'm going to change that to as they headed out of the bathroom.
Okay, 1 sec. Okay, I'm there.
Okay. And I'm going to insert an entire sentence after out of the bathroom. So if you let me come in anytime after, the change begins with as they headed out of the bathroom, and then we'll come back in with rather than.
Okay. Just to do it all the way through the change, and then I'll stop and line up my punch.
Perfect.
After that. Okay, here we go.
I love you too.
He took her hand, still clad in nitrile gloves, as they headed out of the bathroom. Tesla grabbed a new courtesy mask from the wall dispenser so that she didn't have to deal with being recognized.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
1 minute.
Okay, and then the second edition, let me know when you're ready.
We'll do 1 sec. Okay, next punch. Sorry, next punch.
Yes. So the next punch is on 274. She nodded. You aren't going to engage with him, are you? So it's after she nodded.
Okay, 15, 11. Let me find my audio spot. Okay, she nodded. You said after she nodded?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Almost. Here we go.
She nodded.
Pulling the courtesy mask on.
Thank you.
Leanne, super good catch about the gloves. Yeah, she does actually still have gloves on, and I'm going to have her take them off right now.
As in, right where we are, or another different punch later?
I'm a different punch slightly later.
Okay. Let's change that. There we go. Okay, so now where are we going?
Will do. Her palms were sweating.
Palms were sweating. That's a lot.
What was that? What? Sorry.
Where are the
Seriously?
palms sweating.
Will do. Her palms. It's the next paragraph. Call me when it comes. Will do. Her palms were sweating.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. The palms are sweating. Should keep switching hands to the cane. We're replacing that, you said? Or punching there at least.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the... There we go. Okay.
All right. After will do.
Yeah, and this is a slightly longer insertion.
Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Will do.
Her palms were sweating inside her gloves. She stripped them off so she could wipe her hands on her... Oh, she's wearing a skirt or trousers. Trousers. She's wearing trousers.
She stripped them off. Here we go.
Sweating inside her
Sorry.
gloves.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Sweating inside her gloves.
She stripped them off so she could wipe her hands on her trousers. Everything felt sticky and too tight. I'm safe.
Can we do everything felt sticky? Just smoothing this.
Her hands on her trousers.
Everything felt sticky and too tight. I'm safe.
Okay. And after I'm safe, we're going back to her palms are sweating. Or where are we coming in?
Wait, say that again?
Let's see here. The elevator door is where we come back in?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. So, I think we need to try to hit the two little things I had and then maybe look for a stopping spot here.
Yep. Thank you for letting me fix
Okay,
those.
so no worries. So we're back on 270. Oh, wait, no. We're back on, what are we on? 278. A little less. Where is that?
And Leanne, good catch again on those gloves.
There's something down for a little less. Let me listen. All right, the act of smiling made her voice less harsh. I'm looking. The act of smiling made her voice less harsh. I'll make other arrangements a little less harsh.
Okay,
a little
got
less.
it.
Oh, you said a little bit less harsh, so we just need a little
Okay.
less harsh. Sorry, my markers are now off. I should have done the thing before we did the punches. That's my bad.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, not your fault. All right, here we go. A little less harsh.
Other arrangements.
A little less harsh. Climbing the management chain was possible. Okay.
There we go. And then Under these what? Let's listen. But winning would take too long under these circumstances. Just
Okay.
under was a little garbly. We could probably just pick it up there and then find a punching spot, right?
Yes, I think Tesla wants to find a punching spot, so.
Yeah, she definitely does. Where's dialogue? Oh, you don't mind throwing that away for me, do you?
Yeah.
On the next page is the next dialogue.
Got it.
After she almost
Do you
called
want
back.
to? I mean, do you want
Sorry, go
to?
ahead.
Since she just said I need to talk to Halden right now, do you want to stop here and then we can just pick up with he hung up on her?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yep, let's do that.
Okay.
Just because we're getting to that point. Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
page 279, 279. Ooh, not 289. 279.
Great. And so lunar or Martian gravity low enough that skirts are wardrobe malfunction waiting to happen. Lunar gravity, definitely. Martian gravity, I think it's okay. But weighted hymns, as Chris has noted, weighted hymns and other space fashion workarounds would probably be a thing by then. But except on a wackadoo spaceship like this, you wouldn't be going through switching gravity constantly the way they are. So... and actually, you know what? On space stations, they might do it on space stations because it's not as because those are not under constant thrust. So, but still, it's I think workarounds for sure.
Cool. All right. See you this evening, I guess, right?
See you this evening. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.